Let's dive in. Today, we're witnessing a moment that will be studied in history books for years to come. A day when the highest court in the land didn't just interpret the law, but fundamentally changed the way America does business with the world. The Supreme Court's decision is more than a headline. It's a seismic shift that will ripple through every corner of the economy, from Wall Street to Main Street. The Supreme Court just struck down the Trump-era tariffs, a move that's shaking up Washington and the global economy. These tariffs, once seen as a shield for American industries, have now been declared unconstitutional, sending shockwaves through financial markets and government offices alike. For years, these tariffs were at the heart of a fierce debate. Were they protecting American jobs, or were they making life more expensive for everyone? This isn't just a legal technicality, it's a game changer for presidential power and the prices of everyday goods. Imagine walking into your local store and seeing prices drop on everything from electronics to groceries, because the cost of importing those goods just got lower. But it's not just about what you pay at the checkout. This ruling also puts new limits on what any president can do with the stroke of a pen, reshaping the balance of power between Congress and the White House. The decision dismantles a core part of Trump's America First policy, ending years of debate over whether tariffs protect jobs or hurt consumers. For manufacturers, this could mean new competition from abroad, while for consumers, it might mean relief at the register. But the story doesn't end there. Labor unions, business leaders, and politicians on both sides are scrambling to respond, each with their own vision for America's economic future. The ruling has also reignited old arguments about globalization, national security, and the role of government in shaping the economy. Now, the court has redrawn the boundaries of economic authority, signaling a new era of judicial scrutiny over the executive branch. The big questions, who gets to decide America's trade policy, and how much power should one person have, are back in the spotlight. Legal scholars are already debating what this means for future presidents, and whether Congress will step up to reclaim its role in setting the nation's economic agenda. How will this affect your wallet, American businesses, and global trade relationships? Small business owners are watching nervously, wondering if cheaper imports will help or hurt their bottom line. International partners are recalibrating their strategies as the U.S. signals a new approach to trade. And for everyday Americans, the impact could be felt in jobs, wages, and the prices of goods for years to come. Buckle up. This is just the beginning of a new chapter in U.S. economic policy. The Supreme Court's ruling is a turning point, and its effects will unfold in ways we can only begin to imagine. As lawmakers, businesses, and families across the country adjust to this new reality, one thing is clear: the rules of trade have been rewritten, and the world is watching what America does next. So, what's a tariff? You might have heard the word tossed around in the news, especially when countries are arguing about trade, but what does it actually mean for you and me? Let's break it down in simple terms. At its core, a tariff is just a tax that a government places on goods coming into the country from abroad. Imagine you're buying a product made in another country. Before it even hits the shelves, the government adds an extra fee to it. This fee is the tariff, and it's collected at the border, often by customs officials. The main reason governments use tariffs is to make imported products more expensive compared to those made locally. The idea is that if foreign goods cost more, shoppers like you and me might be more likely to choose products made in our own country, supporting local businesses and workers. It's a way to protect homegrown industries from being undercut by cheaper imports. Let's look at a real-world example. Suppose you love French cheese, but your country slaps a 20% tariff on it. Suddenly that imported cheese costs a lot more than the local cheddar sitting right next to it. As a result, you might decide to buy the cheddar instead, which helps local dairy farmers and cheesemakers sell more of their products. But tariffs aren't always a win-win. They can be a double-edged sword. While they might help some industries, like local cheese producers, they can hurt others. Take restaurants, for example. Many rely on imported ingredients to create unique dishes. When tariffs drive up the cost of those imports, restaurants might have to raise their prices, cut back on menu options, or even struggle to stay open. And it doesn't stop there. When one country imposes tariffs, the other country often fights back by adding tariffs of their own. This back and forth can quickly escalate into what's known as a trade war. For instance, when the US put tariffs on Chinese steel, China responded with tariffs on American soybeans. Suddenly, farmers and manufacturers in both countries are caught in the crossfire. The ripple effects of tariffs can be felt everywhere. Prices go up for everyday items, supply chains get tangled, and businesses face uncertainty about what will happen next. Consumers might find empty shelves or higher price tags, while workers worry about job security. That's why it's such a big deal when the Supreme Court steps in and makes a decision about tariffs. Their rulings can change the rules of the game overnight, affecting not just businesses and governments, but also ordinary people who just want to buy groceries or keep their jobs. In the end, tariffs are about much more than just taxes. They're about how countries interact, how businesses compete, and how the global economy works. Understanding tariffs helps us see the bigger picture of international trade and why these decisions matter to all of us. Why did Trump love tariffs? It was all about America first. He saw global trade as unfair, especially with China, blaming it for lost U.S. jobs and shuttered factories. Tariffs were his weapon to protect American industries and force other countries to negotiate better deals. The idea: make imports pricier, revive U.S. manufacturing, and pressure rivals like China to change their ways. This was a sharp break from decades of free trade policies under both parties. Trump's tariffs weren't just economic, they were a bold attempt to rewrite the rules of global trade. Now the Supreme Court has called time on that approach. The Supreme Court didn't rule on whether tariffs are good or bad. They focused on who gets to impose them. The Constitution gives Congress, not the President, the power to regulate trade and levy taxes. While Congress can delegate some authority, it must be clear and specific, not a blank check. The court found Trump's use of old laws to justify sweeping tariffs was an overreach. Their message: major economic decisions need fresh approval from Congress, not just creative legal arguments. This ruling reasserts checks and balances, pulling power back to where the Constitution intended. This ruling is about more than tariffs. It's a reset on presidential power. For years, presidents acted unilaterally on trade. Now they'll need Congress on board for big moves. No more declaring emergencies to slap on tariffs. Future presidents must persuade lawmakers. This shift means more public debate, transparency, and input from all corners of the country. It's slower and messier, but more democratic. Congress isn't just a rubber stamp. It's a co-equal branch with real power. The Supreme Court is making it clear: the era of unchecked executive action on trade is over. What does this mean for you, your family, and the local businesses you rely on every day? Let's break it down in simple terms. With tariffs being lifted, you can expect to see lower prices on a wide range of goods, from electronics and appliances to clothing and everyday essentials. As the cost of importing these products drops, retailers will have more flexibility to offer discounts and promotions, making your shopping trips a little less stressful on your wallet. Major companies that depend on imported parts or finished products, think of tech giants like Apple or car manufacturers, will see their expenses go down. This could mean that the next time you're shopping for a new phone, laptop, or even a car, you might notice more competitive pricing or better deals. These savings may not appear overnight, but over time, they can add up, making big-ticket purchases more affordable for everyone. For small businesses, especially those that rely on imported materials or products, this change could be a real game changer. Lower import costs mean they can either boost their profits, reinvest in their business, or pass the savings on to you, the customer, through lower prices or improved services. This could help local shops stay competitive with larger chains and online retailers, strengthening your community's economy. However, it's important to remember that these changes won't happen instantly. The global supply chain is a complex web, and it takes time for new policies to work their way through shipping routes, warehouses, and store shelves. Some companies may also be cautious, waiting to see how the market reacts before making big adjustments to their pricing or sourcing strategies. Still, as the months go by, you should start to notice a gradual downward trend in prices, especially on items that were previously hit hardest by tariffs. This easing of costs can help relieve some of the pressure on household budgets, making it easier to manage expenses, save for the future, or simply enjoy a little more financial breathing room. For businesses, lower costs don't just mean higher profits. They can also lead to more hiring, expansion, and investment in new products or services. This could translate into more job opportunities in your area and a healthier local economy overall. The bottom line: this ruling has the potential to put more money back in your pocket, whether through direct savings at the checkout or through a stronger job market. But remember, these benefits will roll out gradually, so patience is key. Keep an eye out for these economic ripples in the months ahead, as both your wallet and your local shops begin to feel the impact of this major change. But there's a flip side. American factories in steel, aluminum, and manufacturing are worried. Tariffs were their shield against cheap imports. Now, they face tough global competition again. The fear job losses, factory closures, and economic pain in industrial towns. Supporters argue some industries are vital for national security and shouldn't be left to the free market. The debate over protectionism versus free trade is heating up, with calls for Congress to step in. The Supreme Court's decision has reignited a classic American battle over jobs and global competition. Globally, America's trading partners are breathing a sigh of relief. The end of tariffs could repair strained alliances and open the door to new trade talks. Countries like China will welcome the move, but strategic rivalry with the US isn't going away. Expect retaliatory tariffs to be lifted, helping American exporters regain lost markets. The decision signals a shift toward multilateralism and stability in global trade. Ultimately, this ruling reshapes America's economic role and forces a national debate about how we engage with the world. The future of trade, and your wallet, will now be decided in Congress, not behind closed doors.